start of the Inazuma patch, and finally, we're getting her at the end of Inazuma and right before the start of Sumeru. It seems she's got unfortunate timing, but still, our cutest firework girl deserves lots of love. To help you with that, here's my updated guide to make Yoimiya shine as brightly as she can. I'll cover her talents, gameplay tips, constellations, artifact builds, best. But before we dive in, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. And if you're old enough to know this, get ready for the throwback whiplash. Life Universe by Lab is a comeback of the 2005 classic Whiplash, hitting you with a wave of nostalgia or introduce you to an expansive online world. Life Universe can be played in full 3D on any browser on any platform. You don't need to purchase the game or even download an app to start enjoying the world of Madrigal. Life has lots of graphic options so that it can compatible as possible with the device you're on. Switch it up from renders to a fun cel-shaded style. And don't forget to check out the different costumes and character features to make your character complete. There's also no auto-play or auto-combat function in either mobile or computer, so you can get completely immersed into your own journey or even start a journey with your friends. Life has a unique party system that lets you team up with friends or strangers to gain more experience. You can also go through duels, the arena, the guild stage, and more. So start your life today by visiting the website linked in the description and in the comment. Thank you, Lab, for sponsoring. Now back to the video. Let's start by going through how Yoimiya's talents work and tips on how to maximize your kit. Activating Yoimiya's skill infuses her normal attacks with pyro damage for 10 seconds to turn her into a Pew Pew Pyro TS. Talent scaling increases her multiplier on the normal attack damage. However, the scaling increase per talent level is quite small, so to maximize damage, it's much more worth leveling up her normal attack talent. Then for Yoimiya's normal attacks. Her normal attacks consist of a 5-hit damage sequence, but the first and fourth hits actually fire twice, making her entire sequence an actual total of 7 hits. The third and fifth hit are her highest multiplier attacks, which make them also the target for creating vaporized non-reactions with heat. Thankfully, her standard normal attack IC makes it so that her first, third, and fifth multipliers will once.
It was a little too much HP from at least 100 elemental mastery, and I'll be happy with Jaylon.
It helps to cancel his final animation to restart the
Well,
which you can do with either an in-shot cancel or
fine, I'll play with the Jaylon team
relocating might be necessary
today.
Since steps backwards as you execute your combo.
Why not?
If you move too far, it might affect some buffs like moving out of Bennett or Diona's circle. If you have concerns about how accurate her arrows are, then worry not. There are rare scenarios where her arrows could miss, such as against darting Sisson flies and light enemies thrown by overload knockback. But for the most part, Yoimiya's attacks are on point. It's also great that she can still hit targets if they fly above you, such as the PMA. Related to her normal attacks,
I wonder if I could just go for
lets her
EM
gain a maximum of 20% pyro damage bonus by hitting opponents with her pyro-infused normal attacks. Next is Yoimiya's Burst. When activated, she'll jump into the air and target an enemy below her to mark with her aura's blaze. The mark explodes when attacks from any character other than Yoimiya hits the marked opponent, and since it deals AoE pyro damage, it's best maximized by having enemies close to one another. This can proc every 2 seconds during its 10-second duration. However, the standard ICD of this talent will only let it proc a reaction every other tick, or if you let 2.5 seconds pass between ticks. While it would have been nice if the burst didn't have ICD, having it does not make the burst useless. Aside from damage over time, Yoimiya's Burst has another arguably more important utility, which is to serve as an attack buff to her teammates. Thanks to Yoimiya's A4 passive, casting her Burst gives her teammates a 10% attack bonus, which increases as Yoimiya's normal attack
Good eye.
and for a maximum of 20% attack. When should you cast this? To start, definitely
Who's
don't
our target
cast
this
Yoimiya's
time?
Burst in the middle of her skill duration. The animation eats up time that Yoimiya could spend firing off her
I'll take
arrows.
care of it.
By casting Yoimiya's Burst before doing her team's setup, characters like Fischl and Beidou can snapshot the 10% attack on the first rotation and the full 20% on succeeding rotations. Since Xingqiu doesn't snapshot, he can at least take advantage of the attack buff dynamically. With these units on the team, Yoimiya's Burst becomes very worthwhile to use as this is a team DPS increase. Then, if the marked opponent dies during the burst duration, the mark will transfer to another opponent. However, her burst can actually fail to mark an opponent if it misses its target. For example, if you activate Yoimiya's burst, and in the same instant, the opponent zooms away from you, leaving nothing to mark, her burst is essentially wasted. To prevent this from happening, ensure your enemy can be below you throughout the casting animation. For talent leveling, always prioritize Yoimiya's normal attack talent, as this is the most efficient way to increase your damage. The other talents can follow according to your resources.
Oh, how exciting!
Now let's move on to her constellations. Though Yoimiya at C0 is already great, and constellations are very
This is destiny.
unless you really just want Yoimiya Con. C1 prolongs her burst duration and gives her an attack buff when an enemy affected by her burst is defeated. Of course, how much this benefits you relies as well on how much you can get her burst up. For example, if you can only burst every other rotation, this ends up being a smaller DPS increase. Worse, if you're only fighting a boss, then this won't get marked at all. So this is a very meh constellation. You can just get better substats on artifacts for a similar DPS increase. C2 compared to C1 is a better constellation with an easier condition to fulfill than C1, since all you need to do is crit, and you get that 25% pyro damage bonus. It's something, though if you're stacking up other damage bonuses already, it's not as big of an overall DPS increase. Past C2, I personally don't recommend trying to aim for further constellations, as it isn't worth limited premos. C3 is just a skill talent increase, since her skill multiplier isn't really...
I can't
This
pay
video
attention,
was
so I'll
brought
watch
to
it
you by
later.
Squarespace. Hey, me! I mean, you! Do you need a website? Because if you do, I got a little tip for you. It's called Squarespace. My website, Arlo Recommends, looks really nice, but building it was super easy thanks to Squarespace. I picked a template, I tweaked it a little bit, and it was done. Now I can spend more time making content, but even that doesn't take very much time. It's so easy. You throw in some text, pictures, social media posts, format it however you want. Set it to automatically push every post to social media. Schedule your posts ahead of time. And if I ever need more, Squarespace offers loads of powerful extensions and extensive analytics so I can always see how my website is doing. To try out Squarespace for yourself, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/Arlo to save 10% off your first website or domain. And now, for today's recommendation, Ys Origin. Never played any Ys game in my life. I don't even know what an Ys is, or if I'm pronouncing it right, but I saw it on the eShop, bought it on a very unusual, random whim, and now I can't put it down. Straightforward progression, simple RPG mechanics, crunchy hack and slash gameplay, and that classic JRPG aesthetic I adore. Check it out. Thanks again to Squarespace. Now, off with the video. On with the video. Remember Electabits? Hello, my friends. Sorry for the disembodied voice. I'm coming down with a cold, of course, and I also just had a camera shoved up my nose, so it's not super in the mood to be on camera.
I've been waiting for you for ages.
That everything I say in this video, pure speculation. You know, just like any and all of it could be dramatically
Navigating the world is a whole lot easier.
I have been thinking a lot recently about the next Nintendo Direct, and I feel like there's a really good chance that whatever it is, whatever it ends up being, might tell us a lot about Nintendo's future plans. Like, the contents of the next Direct could be very, very important. There's your thesis, there's our starting point. Now for context. Recently some reports have been coming out that the big three are skipping E3. Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, just nothing to do with E3 at all. Now, we know this could easily mean nothing other than these companies don't want to be a part of E3 anymore. You know, which, it makes sense. E3, it's basically dying. The ESA, they're gross. Fine. E3 as a concept has run its course. I like E3, I like the idea of all the companies doing these events at the same time, but you know, it's just not necessary. Xbox just did a developer direct. Weird that they would pick, they would use the word direct, but whatever. Xbox has got their thing. Nintendo Directs, Sony State of Play, like, they have their own presentation. Even, like, beyond, like, ones with cute little names, Xbox and Sony, like, they'll be like, hey, we got a bunch of games to announce. So they'll just do it. They'll throw it out there. Cool. All three of those companies might end up doing presentations in June that just have nothing to do with E3. Whatever. So Nintendo not doing E3 might not be
Really?
anything.
How?
They might just give us a June Direct anyway. That said, though, last year we
Gotcha.
expected a Direct in June, and we also did not get one. Now, the Switch is getting real long in the tooth. We know we're very late in the Switch's life cycle, and if that's the case, then yeah, it makes sense that Nintendo just doesn't need as many Directs in any given year. Last year, this year, maybe next year, you know what I mean? It
Quietly
might
now.
not be important. You still have as many games to show. But then adding to the idea that Nintendo might skip their
I see
usual
everything.
Direct this year, there have been a lot of rumors from quote-unquote insiders who have heard that Nintendo is skipping the show because they just don't really have anything else to show off for the second half of the year. And some believe this is because next year they're going to give us a new system, so like this is really just kind of it for the Switch. So that is certainly possible. However, one very good counterpoint comes from Kit Ellis from Kit and Krista, previously from Nintendo Minute. He worked for Nintendo for a lot of years, and he says that based on his experience,
Everyone hold
it
hands.
just doesn't make sense that anyone at Nintendo really knew what was going on. Just kind of casually tell people, just tell anyone that they have a light schedule for the second half of the year. That is super
This may turn into a...
that is very, very bad. And we know we've had, leakers here and there. Sometimes this information can and does get out, sure. And he also says that whatever the reason is for Nintendo to skip E3 this year, we might know it soon. Interesting. I'll get back to that. So whatever the reason for Nintendo potentially not wanting to do E3, we still don't know. There might be a Direct in June, whatever. But the idea of them having a sparse second half of this year is absolutely possible. Because, if we are getting a system next year, that means that they are actively developing for that. We're getting the leftovers, we're getting the scrap. It just makes sense. You're near the end of the console's life cycle.
What up?
Looking
But
for
I
trouble?
also think that comment makes sense. Again, why would someone in Nintendo blab about it? So, both of those possibilities are, possible.
Quietly
With
now.
all of that context, here is what I've been thinking. So, there's gonna be
Leave it
a whole
all to me.
video
Time to clean up.
just recently, it really just kind of hit me how likely it is that the Switch really is at the end of its life, and that we might get a new system next year. I don't know, I knew it was coming. Maybe just all the
Patience.
it's just the right ingredients, and it just kind of hit me.
Meet
Oh
again.
my gosh. This might be the Switch's last year. No joke. We might be in it right now. The Switch's last complete year of
If we
being
bury it,
Nintendo's primary
maybe it'll
console.
spring back to life.
7 years is the standard amount of time for a system to be
Huh?
fully supported these days. It used to be 5, but they move a little slower now, so it's just 7. Everyone's doing 7. And even if there's some, there's overlap between generations, you got cross-gen, they say, oh, we're going to support the Switch for years into the life of the next thing. Sure, but 7 is the
I
primary
can't find any
amount
more
of time.
Hannah Berry
It is
figures.
so easy to lose track of this stuff. It feels like the Switch just came out, but you know what? Next March is year 7. No joke. I know you may be looking at your watches and your calendars, being like, that can't be right. But no, next March is year 7. If Nintendo released a new system next March, about a year from now, it would make all the sense in the world. It would make perfect sense. And for even more context, there have been a lot of rumors that Nintendo did indeed plan on making a Switch Pro, but because of all the chip shortages, they decided, forget it, just scrap it, jump right into the next generation. Having an upgraded Switch model might have encouraged them to stretch the Switch's life a little bit longer. They did that with the 3DS. They said themselves that they want the Switch to have a nice, long lifespan. And of course, it's very successful, so they want to ride that success as long as they can. But I could see this whole Switch Pro thing, I could see that being a thing that just kind of gives them the motivation, the justification to just jump right into it. I know that it's not the most important thing in the
there
world
you
for
are.
them to have a really super powerful system.
Hey,
They like to be
brother.
behind in that way. They like to keep costs
Busted.
low. But we've all been feeling
Things are
that
about to get
year,
dicey.
Switch is
Quietly
really
now.
having a hard time keeping up. And I can imagine that even
Minute to
third-party
minute.
developers are like,
See?
Nintendo, we love the Switch. We want it to
Higher,
work.
higher,
It's
hands on
getting
fire.
harder and harder. So I could easily see someone at Nintendo just being like, okay, we have these games slated for the last year or two of the Switch's life. Let's just move them. Let's just bump them. We can't do the Switch Pro, so let's just move her over to the next system and just, chop a year or two off of the Switch's life. It would make sense. All of this setup is to say that if it is true that Nintendo will give us a brand new system next year, then it's probably also true that this year will be very light. Maybe not, maybe they'll still have plenty of games coming for Switch all the way up to the new system's launch and beyond it. Maybe, but just looking at their history, it will probably be slim pickings during the Switch's last year, whenever that may come. They can only develop so much at any given time, so at some point, we gotta go, okay, we're making the Switch.
Here comes the catch.
Now it is. So to back up a little bit, a direct is inevitable. Obviously,
Make
we
yourselves
don't
a
really
room.
know. They might just not give us one. There might just be no direct launch.
Steadiness.
I don't know. I feel like right now is basically we've got a Zelda that needs a full deal before May. We know very little about it. We've got rumors of Advance Wars coming back around, finally
If we
getting a
bury
release
it,
date soon.
maybe it'll spring back to
Then we got
life.
Kirby, Bayonetta, and Octopath 2 all coming in the next month or so. And we know Nintendo loves to do like a final trailers and info and stuff in directs. It's just a thing that they like to do. And then beyond that, if Nintendo is going to do anything with, if Pikmin 4 is actually coming this year, or if they want to bring in Metroid Prime 4, then we need info. If those are going to be coming
Despite
this
how large
year,
the scaling
then the
of
time
her
to give us
burst is,
info is
and how much
pretty
I
darn
valued
soon.
it when I
And if
first
they're
got
not
it.
doing something in June,
And Tori
that's
still
another
probably
thing to
believes it.
mention. If they
Can you
end up
believe
not
how
doing anything in
unimportant
June,
Hu-Tao's
then that
burst
puts
is?
even more pressure
It's just mostly for
on this
emergency healing.
immediate next Nintendo Direct. We
Like,
are
literally
due
no one
for
cares
one.
about
They
big PP numbers
need
anymore.
to give us one. There is a pregnant tension in the air. One is going to
Everyone's all about
materialize
quantity
any
now.
second now, probably. You can also consider that we have a relatively sparse year, but Zelda and Advance Wars are two of the main things that we know are coming this year. Those weren't even originally supposed to be 2023 games. They got delayed into 2023, so that paints an even clearer picture of 2023 and what it could potentially be in terms of sparseness of the release schedule. So when the Direct comes, assuming it will come soon, like I think it will, mid-February, whatever, Valentine's Day maybe, when it comes, if it gives us a whole bunch of new games to look forward to all year, including maybe even some big stuff, then we'll kind of be back to square one, honestly. We'll still not really know what Nintendo's plans are. For all we know, the Switch is going to have an 8-year cycle, and next year will be the slower, winding down year. Or maybe we are getting Switch 2 next year, but they just planned really well. They just have a lot of games to give us. They just did a really good job. It's possible. But if the Direct doesn't give us much, even kind of a medium-ish amount, if it's skewing on the side of lower, sparser, then I personally
blinding
feel like
sunlight
that
is such a
is
pain.
all but a guarantee that we will be getting a new system.
No way
next
I can
year,
get a nap in
2024.
this weather.
2022 was packed with games, but if 2023 barely has anything apart from what was delayed into it incidentally, it's gonna feel like 2022 was the last hurrah, you know what I mean? The 7th year of a console's life being really sparse in terms of releases. What does that usually mean? Even just hearing those words, it's year 7 and there's not a lot coming out. That even just by itself means, oh yeah, I know what that means. It means this system it's in its twilight years. It paints a pretty clear picture. So basically that's my point. All of this, 100%, just pure speculation. For all we know, the Switch will be Nintendo's primary platform until 2025,
Gotcha.
2026. Maybe it really will be a 10-year thing. I don't know.
Time to
But
go.
I agree with what Chris said. Whatever is going on, whatever Nintendo's plans are, I think we're gonna know soon. Whatever their plans are for 2023 and maybe even beyond, I don't think it's gonna be very long before those plans are made clear. And that is why
I'm seeing
so nervous and excited for the next direct, because not only are we due for a direct, not only might it have information in it, but there's just a lot riding on it. It very well might tell us a lot about what's gonna happen. Let me know what you think. Is this just a crazy conspiracy theory? Speaking of conspiracy theories, my mind is going crazy now. Now I'm thinking, like, what if Zelda only got delayed because the Switch Pro turned into the Switch 2 and they just needed it? Like, what if it was been done for a year? But they're like, yeah, but we gotta put something in 2023. There was gonna be these other games, but we made these launch games, so they're gonna come next year. I'm sad.
I must leave no stone unturned, as a good knight should.
And do you know what's really growing inside your nose? Like, I don't know if you ever looked inside. Wow, it's pretty crazy.
Such cramped areas.
Ooh, wonderful.
Man. Now I have to retreat here, but I'm still feeling pretty good about this because my sidestep, the fact that I have it ready, just means that I'll win any position war in the center. Like, he needs to stay away from me right now, unless he wants to get first struck quite
Busted.
So yeah, I took a bit of a beating in the center, and you can still see, like balance-wise, we're still similar. Income-wise, we're still similar. Unit count-wise, we're still similar. So it wasn't that bad for me. I am losing a little bit over on this side, though. It's kind of hard to go head-to-head against Grim Infantry when they get the first strike me. And now I'm actually kind of threatening his comp tower a little bit, so he'll need to play this a little bit wisely. He doesn't
Quietly
leave
now.
Battlecopter, though, and again, this Battlecopter right here is so annoying. I mean, like, what is this? I need, like, 2 Anti to zone out a single Battlecopter. It is so
I see everything.
incredibly annoying.
Huh?
Here, you can see, he really has to keep his distance. He really has to keep his distance. This is what I'm banking on, just building a convoy of tanks and just inching them slowly forward little by little. That is my
Enemies
game plan right
literally
here
die
as
too
Chatter.
easily for me to be able to take good
Hoping to
use.
zone him out. Here I'm moving an artillery
this
down here. I gotta be
team's
very
full power.
careful though, because he can
Like,
wall
I
break
barely
me
need to
incredibly
burst.
easily, especially once he pops his Knuckle Duster. 70% increased firepower. It is incredibly hard to deal with, so I can't just run headfirst into the meat grinder. But here, I am backing off a little bit. I have to wait for my Empire to arrive. I have to build 2 Empire to zone out a single Battlecopter. He is building another one, though, which means I need a 3rd Empire to deal with it. It is so annoying. Here, I'm just building a bit of an infantry wall, and here, I am getting a little bit cocky here. I do almost have my superpower ready, though. Normally, as Adder, you don't really want to pop your superpower, but against Grim, there's a big exception, because sometimes you might need that +2 extra movement to get the first strikes, which is what you want to do. But I do believe I'm just serving up a free tank on the platter here. I really don't want to let him get these 2 properties. But here he's actually moving forward. His Battlecopter is coming in as well. He gets another free shot with this Battlecopter was so annoying. And now you're about to see some of the best walling that I have ever seen. And you'll absolutely see here. Because I'm about to pop my power soon. And it's gonna get really ugly very, very quickly. So here I am moving in, and I'm getting ready. I get a nice little first strike here with my tank. And I move in. And I remember feeling decent about this turn. Like I'm attacking him on all sides here, and I still have my superpower ready very soon. So all of these tanks that are out of position, they're going to be in position. So I'm thinking about maybe luring in Grim, luring him in, and force him to take some engagements, and then just coming in with my super and just like shellacking him off the table. Now my anti-air in position. I have 3 anti-airs. There's no way his copters can do anything. I have to pull back with it. This artillery, though, is completely worthless. I should have brought this one into the center. I don't know really what I was thinking. I mean, I obviously don't want him to take my tower, and that's why I have to keep the artillery here. But I should have had a tank over here as well, honestly. He gets the property in the center, which is a little bit sad. And now he's moving in with his battlecopters as well. And just look at how well he's positioned his tanks. He knows he has to play around my +2 movement right now, because I have +2 movement ready. I'm not popping it. I'm just sitting on it for now, and now he also builds a medium tank, which is the proper response. I have 6 tanks in the center, so you want to get that medium tank in as soon as possible. I also don't have a single battlecopter. I should have built more battlecopters in this match. I really should have built more battlecopters. Day 13 rolls in. This side skirmish battle here continues. I really want to try and get this property now, so I'm using an infantry to block it off. And I'm still not popping my power. I'm waiting for that turn where I pop my superpower. Now I apply a little bit of pressure on the property that he was able to take from me, and I move 1 tank in. You can see right here just how much Grim crumbles. And here is the turn where I really want to lure him in. I really want to lure him in now. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm inching, I'm slipping, I'm snake slithering forward here. I want him to attack me so that I can pop my super and just run him off the map. And here he really decides to go for it. Now, it's Grim time, ladies and gentlemen. He's dusting off his knuckles. And he goes for the knuckle duster. Boom. 70% extra firepower. Here he comes. Boom. 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 Battlecopter comes in. Kills my infantry. Boosh. One-shots my infantry. This is where it starts to hurt, ladies and gentlemen. And he even manages to interrupt my capture, which is so annoying! I'm so upset about this. And he even puts this artillery onto my comm tower instead of capturing it, which I found pretty funny. So here he is. He's presented his knuckles. And this is the turn where I really need to make something happen. So I pop my Sidewinder. And this is probably a turn I should have calculated much better. Because here, you can see, even with the +2 movement, not able to reinforce due to all these stupid forest tiles. And even with my powers, I am not really able to wall break him. This was annoying. This was very annoying. I would have really loved to get my anti-air
Add Astra.
And the attack?
Thank you for completing.
Even though I'm able to send 2 anti-airs over here and wipe him out.
Add Astra.
Honestly, here, I think I could have gone for the comm tower. If I had... Looking back on this attack right here, what I could have done, I could have put 1 anti-air here, another anti-air here, and I could have taken his comm tower from him. I don't think it would have mattered that much, but I could have done it. It probably would have been a better move. Instead, I just tried to kill as many infantry as I can. And I tried to make a little bit of a wall against this medium tank right here. And yeah, I'm not overly happy with my attack here. I do go all in here on this side with the
Why is
extra
this old
movement.
granny so good at collecting shit on expeditions?
But as you're about to see, ladies and gentlemen, it's just not enough.
I don't get it.
Here comes the shellacking. Boom. Boom. He's gonna mop me up on the side here. Kills my artillery. Destroys his own tank. Comes in with the infantry. And pops the knuckle duster for 70% extra firepower. Boom! One-shots my anti-air. Boom! One-shots my tank. Boom! One-shots my other tank. Boom! Kills my anti-air. Bye, anti-air. Now there's nothing to contest his battlecopters. Kablam! Kablam! And I just got my face rearranged by a frickin' fat guy eating donuts. And, yeah. I just resigned. So, yeah, that was an experience for sure. Is Grim guy any good? Yeah, he is. He is very freaking good. I didn't play this match particularly well. I'm not very. I haven't played that much on this map yet, so I haven't really figured it out yet. But yeah, this guy's the real deal for sure. I felt like my nose just got broken in half. He draws you in. He draws you into the meat grinder, and then he just beats the living shit out of you. So yeah, short match, short battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to see a bit more Grim Guy. And let me know if you have any ideas of who this guy might be. I got some more candidates that I'm not gonna talk about in this video. Maybe in the next one. Maybe someone will figure out who this guy is at some point. But yeah, he's. I'm looking forward to seeing him join the top 10 standard board. I hope he does it soon. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!
Meaning that you can't just apply a regular tree farm design to it. You have to somehow plant it in a 2x2 while AFK, and the solution is to sit down into a minecart and wobble left to right while holding right click. Thus, I present to you the False Wiggler. It wiggles the false and boggles the mind. Still, it's a much easier time at least than phasing the treasure chest out of the Gusta Claws.
So you found out that he's got a little surprise inside, huh?
Yeah, although I kinda didn't realize there was actually anything in it that would be important.
If you remember, False Symmetry got a Gust for a Christmas present. But there was also a chest inside it that she could access without first killing the animal. Not wanting to do so, she calls upon Info to speed, and this becomes quite an operation.
Rain outlines your
From the
fate.
past, had the
Witness the
foresight
power of
to
good.
the Gust on
Gaze
the
up
running block.
from
As a
your
result, Impulse from the present has to crowbar the Gust
Busted.
out of the entire
Quietly now.
contraption. But luckily it survived and is now rested in a multicolored Christmas bubble
Isn't
was
good?
made for it. And really, we did not need another Gust to roam the server. Not with Nokia 77 already roaming the premises. Or rather, the perimeter.
Dodge this! This moment will be frozen in time.
Here comes the catch.
His crusade
Gotcha.
against formation of
Let me
Canada
weave you a
continues
verse.
as he attacks Jofil's Canadian
No, my
and
sword.
unveils him, while the guy, I kid you not, is too lazy posting cute selfies to Tumblr.
Okay, I don't know if you know this, but Scar is winning a competition about how pretty we are. I'm trying to find pictures of myself shirtless to post on Twitter. Because he's running around shirtless getting all the votes, and it's not okay.
So as far as the server etiquette goes, Ifo Anvil kills Docam within the 2 minutes that the guy was not at the PC. Docam Anvil kills Ifo while Ifo is AFK farming stuff.
Bruh.
This is a tree farm, right? Does it spit out wood somewhere? Oh yeah.
And it's a bad precedent to establish, because if farming kills are fair game, Doc runs the risk of never safely using his newest mob grinder. And when I say mob grinder, mob is singular. By making the floor for the farm 1 block tall and entirely made of mud, the techies figured out how to limit the spawns to spiders only, min-maxing the mob cap into turbo-vomiting spiders. Sounds guys, they added Australia to Minecraft.
I am sick of placing blocks playing all the time.
Busted. Things are about to get tight. Rain cutter.
So for the weather, it's not just raining spiders, we're also in for temperatures of Guardian Downfall. Here's a plan. We build a mobile elevator out of a corner of the Guardian Temple at like 15 degrees centigrade. We then make a depth drop on the stone generator where we put some skull catalysts, and we place it exactly so that the only bit of the actual terrain that is within our spawn radius
Rain
is
outlines
that
your
corner
fate.
of the Guardian Temple that also is only filled with water. If this sounds familiar, that's because this is exactly what Exuma Boy did. His Guardian-based skull farm required precisely 0 temple tampering, which sounds pretty good until you realize that it also meant he did the whole thing while undermining fatigue effect.
And that's because we got another trick up our sleeve, that is to use salt sand to create bubble elevators. Gotta be very careful in here though. There's a bunch of guardians.
And I get it, milk is plentiful and you can use the
Wow.
mine scaffold, but it still feels insane somehow. Just the sheer value of the undo button skyrocketing here, you know? Coincidentally, Pearlescent Moon straight up undoes Ijevin. for littering within his own base. I mean it affectionately when I say, Pearl goes completely mom mode about Jevin cleaning his room.
Why did I just catch you throwing some items on the ground in your starter base? Huh? What's all that about?
That was not me.
All
Actually,
of this?
That was. Oh my god.
All of these valuable goods that you just thrown on the ground.
She does sort out some of Graves' graveyard. The hard time is such a better sense, dealing with her own storage drones and trying to combat the rippling pile of entropy that we got man. Even in Shadow Hideout at her base takes enough time for all the copper in the vicinity to oxidize. And really, if it's speed she's after, she could probably browse her entire highway if the bit of Soul Speed don't raise Star Crosshair if anything to go by.
Okay.
Doing this whole healing thing is time saved on putting more items with these projects later, looking into the story for her base. Pearl decides that it's gonna be all about the alien species and the human resistance observing and researching each other. And since the aliens already have their observation tower in the anomalous zone, so should what's left of humanity.
I know this was a super random build to make and honestly a little bit unexpected. I too did actually not expect to be building this in this episode and I kind of just thought of it then and you know what? I felt like making it.
The terrain over at Geminate's castle moves the opposite way. Maybe less towards the Minecraft normal, but certainly more towards regular world normal.
I don't want to be eaten. So don't stand too close then.
The Elven Keep sinks into a forest of custom trees and stone outcroppings. A river flowing downhill and custom mushrooms like no other. Yeah, maybe some of that alien gunk is seeping into the ground after all. Why else would the local shrooms have a brick texture to them?
Oh my gosh! This is my base! I get to live here, it's not even done yet.
In the meantime, Zombie Cleo caught up to her with their own fantasy castle being structurally finished. Cleo fills in both the front and the back end of their Atlantean castle, apropos of nothing and certainly not because Jevin just started his one.
Doesn't this look amazing? I am so proud. I think this might be the best
this
thing
is going
I've
to be
ever
better.
built. Like the best
doubt.
building I've ever built.
Epic time-lapse aside, I actually really appreciate that Cleo makes it a point to make the whole build accessible without an elytra. Once you fly onto the floating island, I mean. Also, it's one thing that the castle's chambers are interwoven and walkable. It's another that the vines and leaves spread across the walls also look very parkourable. I would love to see someone Assassin's Creed their way from the ground floor and up to the Queen statue in the throne room. Just be wary of whatever weapons they got stashed in that dress.
Should it be poofier? No, I think like the flat at the front with the poofy at the back is good.
I think this
now
is
that I
fine.
think about it, Bloodborne boss Zombie Cleo does successfully parry Doc Ham and his anvil this week. While working on the armor stand commission for XB Crafted, Doc almost assigns them Canadian, but that ends up being about as child's play as filling XB's mind with armor stands after building a castle in one time-lapse. Seriously, that apparently only took them an hour? How fast can they build? And that's about it for last week's recap. My name has been ZloyXP, captions on this video were provided by Liara, Pixel Riffs should be returning next time, and if you want, I have Zed on speed dial. I promise we'll get some British accent in here. Don't forget to subscribe if you're still here, you're a great audience, and we'll see you next week.
It upgraded literally everything once. That is amazing. In its own right. Not really. Cool. Alright, yep, this is straight up an upgrade. Crit rate, slightly more energy recharge, and more crit damage. The defense percent kinda sucks. But this is the best.
Silly churl, Billy churl.
Hey, why am I recording this?